Hello everyone and welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And today, Sam, we are going to be reading a two-day article. Well, we'll be starting a two-day article about Maritozzo, a sweet history. Mwah.
I think you mean Maritozzo.
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 Well, it's Italian, right?
Yeah.
So, do you speak Italian? Are you
No.
Italian? Me neither. I'm not either. So, Maritozzo. I guess if you were in New York, they'd say, hey, Maritozzo. Right?
Yeah.
So, kind of depends where you're from.
Seems like it. I mean, for this purposes, I guess we'll kind of end up switching a little bit. Hopefully, we can kind of stick to one pronunciation, but Maritozzo, Maritozzo.
It is one of those funny things. They even wrote that song, right? Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. People do say words slightly differently. I think, honestly, since it's an Italian word for a sweet Italian dessert, find an Italian person. Ask them how they say it, and then you can buy one for them and enjoy Maritozzo or Maritozzo, a sweet history. Let's check it out.
A Maritozzo is a small loaf of light, delicate bread that is sliced down the middle and typically filled with thick whipped cream, though other fillings are also common. It's a popular treat in Rome, where it is often enjoyed with a cup of coffee during breakfast or as a late-night snack at a cafe. The roots of the modern Maritozzo can be traced back to the days of ancient Rome. During this period, women baked loaves of bread and added honey and dried fruit for sweetness. Whipped cream had not yet been invented. Larger than today's Maritozzi, they were made for laborers to take with them to work. Sweet, rich, and full of calories, this relatively modest early version of a Maritozzo was the main meal of Roman farmers for centuries.
Okay, so today we are going to look at Maritozzo and we're going to get into these delicious little buns, I guess, and see what is so great about them.
Do we have any?
I wish we did, but sadly, I think we don't.
No Maritozzo?
I don't think so. We'll have to go and get some after this.
I guess. And we'll just have to fill our bellies with knowledge about this wonderful dessert. So let's find out about it. I've actually never heard of these before.
Me either,
so this is kind of new. All right, so let's learn about it. It says, a Maritozzo is a small loaf of light, delicate bread that is sliced down the middle and typically filled with thick whipped cream, though other fillings are also common. Wow, there's a lot to learn there, but basically that gives us a description of what a Maritozzo looks like. Now, I imagine if you're reading your magazine now, there's probably a picture right there of it.
Hopefully.
And from the description, it sounds kind of messy. It sounds like something you wouldn't want to, eat walking down the street. You'd probably want to have a plate and a napkin and all that, because it does sound kind of delicate.
Yeah, I'm really interested in trying one of these because it does. Since it's shaped kind of like almost like a hot dog and has the filling in the middle, it seems like as soon as you bite into it, it's gonna just go everywhere.
Cream everywhere.
Yeah, especially since, again, that bread is very delicate.
Exactly, yeah.
And so delicate can mean fragile or easily broken, but it also can be like complicated or something like that.
Or light. We could talk about delicate flavors or delicate smells. Very light.
Yes, so this adjective actually has many different meanings, and so it's used in a lot of different ways. When we're talking about bread, it could be the delicate flavor, or it could be that it's very delicate. When you bite into it, it might be kind of crumbly, something like that.
Yeah.
And so we have a sentence here that goes, Lisa chose a wine that would go well with the delicate flavor of the fish. So here we have delicate flavor, and especially with fish tends to have a very light flavor.
Exactly. We're using delicate whenever we don't want to say something is strong or powerful or tough. Delicate would always be kind of the opposite, but we would use it in different ways. Yeah.
And now if we continue on with our reading, we have it's a popular treat in Rome, where it is often enjoyed with a cup of coffee during breakfast or as a late night snack at a cafe.
Oh, okay, so maybe not as a dessert, maybe not after your meal, but more like maybe like a donut. People don't usually have a donut for dessert, but you would have a donut for a snack in the morning with your coffee or late in the evening when you're a little hungry before bed. That's when you might eat your Maritozzo. So let's find out about it. It says the roots of the modern Maritozzo can be traced back to the days of ancient Rome. Wow, that's interesting. A very long history. So even if you look at the Maritozzo today, if you went to Rome today to buy one, it would look quite similar or be quite similar to the way it was back in the time of Julius Caesar or whoever 2,000 years ago during the time of ancient Rome. Not much has changed. During this period, now again, we're here talking about ancient Rome, many thousands of years ago, during the Roman period, women baked loaves of bread and added honey and dried fruit for sweetness. Whipped cream had not yet been invented. Very interesting. But yeah, a long time ago, people didn't use sugar as much as they do today. They would add other sweet things like dried fruit or raisins or something like that.
Yeah, and here in this case, I had also some honey. So obviously there's no whipped cream, but if you've got this bread, if it's just bread, it might be a little bit boring. So they had to come up with some other ways to make it delicious.
Exactly.
And now continuing on, we have larger than today's Maritozzi. Maritozzi would be the plural of Maritozzo. They were made for laborers to take with them to work. Sweet, rich, and full of calories, this relatively modest early version of a Maritozzo was the main meal of Roman farmers for centuries.
Interesting. It was their lunchbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's got some like quick calories and
True.
it's cheap to make. It seems like a pretty good food for people on the run.
You could put it in your bag or whatever as you go off to wherever you work, and it would still give you all that energy you need to get you through a hard working day. And when we talk about energy that we get from food, we often use this term calorie. This is kind of a scientific term. I think a calorie is how much food you need to burn or use to raise a liter of water by 1 degree in temperature.
Celsius, I think, yeah.
Yeah, now that's kind of complicated, but most of us think about calories as being the way we measure how good or bad for us food might be, right? High calorie foods would have a lot of fat. Low calorie foods would have less. Fruit has fewer calories than beef, for example, if we have equal weight. So generally when we talk about calories, we're talking about how much energy do we get from the food, or if you're a dieter, how much sugar or fat you might be getting from the food. For example, we could say Roger has been trying to eat fewer calories because he is concerned about his weight. I think for adults around 2,000 calories a day is pretty good. If you want to lose weight, have a bit more. And if you have a bit less, or like 1,500, and if you're gaining weight, a little bit more than 2,000. But I think 2,000 is
around. Yeah, I mean it's a very rough average because
Sure.
they do obviously. Normally you will measure your height and your weight and things like that.
And if you work outside or go to the gym a lot, you'll need more calories. If you sit at home watching TV all day, you don't need as many.
Yes. And we also had this word modest in our reading. And modest means something that means is an adjective that is humble or not showy. So something that's kind of just quiet. And our sentence here we have, although Jake is quite wealthy, he lives in a modest home in a quiet neighborhood. So maybe he has a lot of money, but he chooses to live in a very simple house and not very flashy with a whole bunch of nice cars out front. He wants to live a modest life.
Okay, so not too show-offy, not too expensive. And he maybe could afford the fancy stuff, but he chooses to have a simple, plainer type of home. Well, good for him. That means he has more money to spend on Maritozzo.
Perfect.
So there you go. Good decision. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll be back with more about this delicious Roman pastry.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。 这2天要介绍最近一个很夯的甜点，叫做 Maritozzo 罗马生乳包。那么生乳包是把一小块清淡、味道可口的面包从中间对半切开，通常会填满厚厚的鲜奶油。不过其他馅料也很常见。单字 delicate。它是形容清淡可口的，也可以形容颜色它是柔和的、纤细的。那么 Sam 老师在解释单字时，他用到 fragile 这个字 ，F-R-A-G-I-L-E，fragile 可以形容是脆弱的或是易损坏的，还有用到 crumbly，C-R-U-M-B-L-Y，crumbly 可以形容是脆的、易碎的。好，那么课文写到说，生乳包在罗马是很受欢迎的美食，它的起源可以追溯到古罗马时代。那这个时期的妇女会烤面包，并且加入蜂蜜和果干来增加甜味。那时候啊，鲜奶油还没有发明，而当时的生乳包比现在还要大，那它香甜浓厚又富含热量，几个世纪以来一直都是罗马农民的主食。好，来看单字 calorie， 它表示卡路里，是食物热量单位。那么1大卡的热量可以让1公升的水温度上升摄氏1度，对吧？好，那我们来学一下 Celsius，C-E-L-S-I-U-S， 它是形容词，形容摄氏的。好，那么要减重的人会特别注意热量。那这边补充一下 dieter 这个字 ，D-I-E-T 加上 E-R，dieter 表示节食者或是减重者。再来看 modest。Modest 它是形容普通的、简朴的、适度的。那 Sam 老师说的这有2个形容词是比较相反的意思 ，showy。S-H-O-W-Y，showy 表示过分装饰的、花俏的、招摇的，还有 flashy，F-L-A-S-H-Y， 它是表达显眼的或者是俗艳的那种意思。那这边一个重点，进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是 trace something back to， 后面常常接时间啊、来源或是原因去表达追溯某事物到什么什么。被动用法是 something be traced back to 点点点。那么动词 trace 在这边是及物用法来表达追溯啊，或者是查明什么的源头。例如 the tradition can be traced back to ancient Egypt。这项传统可以追溯到古埃及。那补充相关的用法 date back to 也可以表达追溯至点点点，始于点点点，像是 the custom dates back to the Middle Ages， 这个习俗可以追溯到中世纪时期。那我们接着回到课文中。
The pastry became a holiday staple in the Middle Ages. Because Maritozzi were technically bread, they were the only sweet treat allowed during Lent, an annual 40-day period of fasting observed in the Roman Catholic religion. Maritozzi in the Middle Ages were prepared as small rolls filled with pine nuts, raisins, or candied orange peel.
Hi, welcome back. We're still talking about Maritozzo. Maritozzo, we don't know. It's delicious. Don't worry about how to say it. Just eat it. Let's get back to the article. The pastry became a holiday staple in the Middle Ages. Sure, everyone likes to have a nice sweet pastry treat on a holiday. It says because Maritozzi were technically bread, they were the only sweet treat allowed during Lent. An annual 40-day period of fasting observed in the Roman Catholic religion. Yes, Lent is celebrated in early spring before Easter. And yeah, they have a lot of diet sort of restrictions, right? A lot of people don't eat meat during Lent. You give up things like maybe meat or sugar, chocolate, things you enjoy, and you have to have a little bit more of a strict diet. So certain fun things that you might enjoy, like junk food type things, are out. But since Maritozzi, the plural of Maritozzo is bread, it's not a sweet treat. So go ahead. Eat as much as you want.
And isn't this kind of funny? It seems like humans kind of forever have been looking for loopholes. So we have
ways to cheat.
Yeah, we have this time, this Lent, when you're supposed to be giving up a lot of things to kind of honor the sacrifice that Christ made.
Exactly.
And people are like, well, it's technically bread, so I can still eat it even though it's sweet.
It's true. Jesus spent 40 days and nights out in the desert fighting the devil, and maybe he snuck off to the store and got a candy bar or some, junk food once in a while. So I can too. Yeah.
And so in our reading, we had the word annual. Annual is an adjective that means occurring once a year. So every year this thing happens. And our example sentence that we have is, it's almost time for our annual trip to Mexico. Oh. So in this sentence, the family must go to Mexico once a year. Maybe they go for Christmas or they go for whatever they choose.
They have family there or something like that. But yeah, every year they're down in Mexico.
Yes, and if we continue on with our Maritozzo reading, then we have Maritozzi in the Middle Ages were prepared as small rolls filled with pine nuts, raisins, or candied orange peel.
Oh, okay. Again, using a lot of natural things to give you some sweetness, to give you that sweetness that we, of course, would get from sugar, but they were using other things. Actually, it sounds quite healthy.
Yeah.
And quite good for you, too, as long as you like raisins. And I know some people don't like raisins.
Yeah, some people don't, and I'm not totally sure why, because I feel they're pretty simplistic, and it seems like a thing that it's hard to hate.
That's right. And you don't have to eat a lot of them. They often use raisins in different things they bake, like types of bread or donuts or something like that. What is a raisin? Basically, it's a dried grape. So take a grape, leave it out in the sun for a couple of days. The water will leave it. It'll get smaller and smaller and sweeter and sweeter. And people like to eat raisins in all sorts of things, or even just as a snack, because they're small and easy but have lots of healthy calories in them. For example, I ate an entire box of raisins for breakfast, and now my stomach is bothering me. Well, yeah,
maybe.
I don't know if I would ever think of eating raisins for breakfast. Maybe with other things in your cereal or something like that, but not a whole box of raisins. So
I was just thinking, maybe a lot of people's hatred of raisins comes from when you're a kid and you want to have a cookie and you think it's a chocolate chip cookie, and then you bite into it and it's like an oatmeal raisin. And a lot of kids, I don't know why, I like oatmeal raisin cookies, but a lot of kids don't. I think they want that kind of sweet cookie, and they end up getting like a healthy cookie.
They got tricked by the raisins, so now they hate raisins forever. Well, I'm okay with them, and hey, if you throw one into my Maritozzo, I would be fine with that. So that's it for today. We're going to wrap it up right here, but we will be back with more about this sweet Italian and Roman treat, the Maritozzo, tomorrow. So come back and join us for that. Until then, buon appetito.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
好，生乳包在中世纪成为一个节日的主食。它严格来说啊是面包，所以在大斋期的期间是唯一允许使用的甜点。那么中世纪的生乳包呢，被做成小圆餐包，里面有满满的松子啊、葡萄干或者是这个蜜饯陈皮。文中写到 pine nut 就是松子，还有 candied Orange peel 是指蜜饯陈皮，其中这个 candied 就是把 candy 糖果去 y 加 ied， 它可以用来形容是糖渍的或是蜜饯的。再来看单字 annual， 它是形容每年的、一年一次的或是年度的。那么 raisin 表示葡萄干。补充一下文中的 Lent。Lent 它是指大斋期，罗马天主教每年奉行的40天斋戒期。在这个期间里面啊，像肉啊、乳制品等等都被严格禁止，基本上你觉得好吃的东西可能都不能吃。老师们就开玩笑说，于是人们都开始在钻漏洞，自己在那里解释说什么不算数啊，什么可以吃这样子。好，补充一下 loophole 这个字 ，L-O-O-P-H-O-L-E，loophole 表示漏洞或是法律等等的漏洞。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
A Maritozzo is a small loaf of light, delicate bread that is sliced down the middle and typically filled with thick whipped cream, though other fillings are also common. It's a popular treat in Rome, where it is often enjoyed with a cup of coffee during breakfast or as a late-night snack at a cafe. The roots of the modern Maritozzo can be traced back to the days of ancient Rome. During this period, women baked loaves of bread and added honey and dried fruit for sweetness. Whipped cream had not yet been invented. Larger than today's Maritozzi, they were made for laborers to take with them to work. Sweet, rich, and full of calories, this relatively modest early version of a Maritozzo was the main meal of Roman farmers for centuries. The pastry became a holiday staple in the Middle Ages. Because Maritozzi were technically bread, they were the only sweet treat allowed during Lent, an annual 40-day period of fasting observed in the Roman Catholic religion. Maritozzi in the Middle Ages were prepared as small rolls filled with pine nuts, raisins, or candied orange peel.
Hi everyone, I'm Stephen.
And I'm Matt.
We're going to play a game called Word Drop, where each of us has 3 words or phrases on these cards that we have not looked at yet, and we're going to try to work it into a conversation as casually as possible. Do you want to go first? Yes, you do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah?
So,
Yeah?
I've been trying to lose weight recently.
Oh.
You know, trying to get. I was eating a lot for a while through the winter, and then after that, I want to lose some weight. So I really watch what I eat, and so also exercising a lot. But another way to lose weight is to eat things that
Yeah?
that have low calories.
Oh, yes. I think that's quite important to eat things that are low calories for your health. But also, I think people nowadays really care about if you have like a good body. Like on social media, you see a bunch of people, they're like, oh, look at my body, I'm so like good looking. And you're like, ugh, I'm eating cake while looking at these pictures. But I just wish these people could be a little less vain and a little more modest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be. Yeah.
Yeah?
I try to be modest. Maybe I should be. Maybe I should just forget the diet. Just get back to. It's not important.
Are you one of those people that takes their shirts off?
No.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna. There's no need to exercise and lose the weight and eat the low calories. So I'm just gonna go buy I'm gonna go eat a whole bunch of raisins after this.
Oh my gosh, I love raisins. Raisins are the best. And it's like one of the best things about raisins is you don't have to wait for grapes to be in season because raisins can last forever. It's like they're available on an annual basis, like the whole year. You just eat raisins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, a lot of fruits I've heard are. A lot of fruits I know are not available all year because they can get damaged and stuff when shipping them. So that's what really causes the seasonality of what's available, and that's just a problem that fruits don't last very long, and also just when they're they get bruised and everything when shipping, and really just a lot of fruits are very delicate.
Oh yeah, like the moment you touch it, it bruises, right? I don't know. I just feel like I'm sure there are a lot of fruits that we eat nowadays. It just makes me think like, who was the first person to eat that? Because like dragon fruit looks really scary, but somebody must have been the first one to eat that. I mean, I guess that makes passion fruit and dragon fruit, I guess they date back to like the prehistoric ages probably. They look like dragons as a fruit.
What was your word?
Dates back to.
Dates back to, okay.
It wasn't dragon fruit.
It wasn't.
See you next time.